The Sun Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the Texas Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. All later today with the ReliaQuest Bowl. That'd be the only one that doesn't kind of have the right ring to it compared to the other ones. Sun Bowl's the only game CBS still airs in the postseason. That is the one game that CBS gets, Louisville and Washington. Of course, the family of ESPN networks will be showing every other game that is aired today. And they also showed Missouri beating Iowa yesterday for a 10-win season. Back-to-back double-digit wins for the Fightin' Drinkwitzes, and they continue their momentum. We got Grant Hall with us here on the hotline. Always a pleasure talking to you, Grant, on a Wednesday. Let's just make today a Wednesday since we don't have a show tomorrow. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm sorry if you were trying to get in touch. I kept telling Erwin I had to hang up and do the show, and he wouldn't hang up, so I barely got on in time. Sorry.
We can barely get Erwin to hang up on a Monday when he's live on the air with us. I can't even imagine what it's like in an actual phone call, man.
Yeah, he was wanting to tell me about Tiger and Elon getting back together. I'm not sure that's going to happen, though. Have you heard this?
I saw a hug. Yeah. I guess this is the time of the year where we can have some reunions, wasn't there? I guess there were some cryptic tweets from Lane Kiffin about maybe his ex-wife making it back into Oxford. Some were actually being in Oxford for the first time ever, so who knows? I just know Tiger turned 50 yesterday, which is, man, I think he would always be perennially in his 30s.
He's just 49. He turned 49 yesterday, and LeBron turned 40 yesterday, and Sandy Koufax turned 89, and so if you add the other two ages together, you get Sandy Koufax.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a lot of quick math you just did there, Grant. Let's get thoughts on Fiesta Bowl tonight. My thought is Ashton Ginty will run the way that he's run all season long, but that doesn't necessarily mean Boise State can stop Penn State. Do you go chalk again as far as these playoffs are concerned, starting with tonight?
Well, I'm going to root for Ginty. I actually voted for him I'm not supposed to say that till after. I guess I could say it now. I voted for him for a Heisman Trophy. I really liked what little I saw of him this year, and liked the fact of how hard he runs, and so I hope he does well. But I would have a hard time thinking that they could beat Penn State.
Grant, when you're looking, I mean, these are just eight just really tremendous teams. They're all, they all earn the right to be there. No question about it. When you're looking at this Ohio State-Oregon matchup, I think Oregon's the best team in the country. I think Ohio State might be playing the best football. I know a lot of people like Notre Dame the way they're playing right now. Handicap this Ohio State-Oregon game for me. Who wins this game and why?
I think Oregon wins, Matt, like you. I think there's probably a tendency for people not to have seen them as much or talked about them as much during the year as like SEC teams or other Big Ten teams, in that they're just, maybe people don't see them on TV as much. They got a great quarterback, a really good coach. I just like their overall team, but it will be a tough game, I'm sure Ryan Day has sort of a new lease on life now after, what was he, 66-10, and they wanted to fire him. But I like Oregon in that one. I like Texas to beat Arizona State, even though it's interesting, the Arizona State quarterback kind of popped off about he's better than Ewers. Did you see that?
I saw that. Do you like that Arizona State running back as well? He seems to be a downhill, hard note. Kind of reminds me of the Missouri running back last year, Schrader.
Yeah, and the thing about it, too, the teams that are underdogs often win these kinds of games because they got something to prove, and they want to say, hey, we're good also. And so Texas has to combat that. I saw where Sark, I guess, they're looking at playing Manning some more, using him maybe more than just to go in there and run. I don't know how that's going to work out. That's always a tricky thing when you're trying to play two quarterbacks. But maybe they'll do that some.
What you got on the Liberty Bowl, Grant? It was a really, they went out, played like it mattered to them. Definitely feel like you learned a little bit about what you could have moving forward in a couple of places, and always better to end the season with a win no matter what.
Well, Taylor Green had 412 yards total offense, and I think people might have been surprised to see that was the second highest total offense for a season for quarterbacks. Now, obviously, guys today have an added advantage of more games than back when Arkansas played 10 games a year, for example. But still, it's notable. I've liked him all year. I know there were games where he was disappointed with his play, but I think, man, if I were Kyle Parkinson, I'd be starting to put him on the Heisman list for next year. Why not? You get the only way you can do this is to publicize a year in advance and list everything he's done and see what he can do next year.
Grant, did you watch this basketball game last night? I want to kind of get your thoughts as we're going into conference play. If I was to give a critique, we don't have another ball handler but Boogie. Who's our backup point guard? Who's that going to be? If he gets into foul trouble, we might be into trouble. I love 3 and 21. I love their aggressiveness. I love their downhill, don't stop. Just they're going to attack. 9 looks like he's coming along. I like what we got. What do you see as we're going into conference play?
Well, a couple things about it. Last night, Adu was ill, and so that's why he was only playing a few minutes at a time. Calipari said he probably shouldn't have played him. The other question mark, Nelly has this wrist injury, and my suspicion would be that he would play against Tennessee, that they were trying to get him healthy for that game. Adu, of course, will want to do well against his former team. I think you go into that game lose and just kind of take a free shot. Hey, this is the number one team in the country on the road. Probably not going to win it, but go ahead and play. Play the way Boogie did in the second half last night when he scored 23 of his 24 points. And yes, the 2 points were originally credited to Thiero, and it took until about 30 minutes after the game to catch up with all that. But he had 23 in the second half. The only guy I can remember doing something like that, one time Courtney Fortson, I think, had 31 of his 35 against Mississippi State in the second half a long time ago. But he was feeling it. But to me, you couldn't tell any difference in his demeanor in the first half when he was 0 for 6. In the second half when he was 9 for 10, I guess, from the field. But Calipari did say he kind of, it's interesting how he coaches great players. He'll always, like he said, well, sometimes he's special and then sometimes he's a little stinky, and he's not afraid to say things like that about his superstars to get them to play even better. And but I thought he was magnificent in the second half last night.
Matt, I think you still have a valid point about who else is going to handle the ball.
Because the Boogie's going to have to give you 37 minutes a game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wagner,
Wagner are 1 and 2 in the SEC in minutes played right now. You just wonder how long that can last, and who else is somebody that can do the things that they do, even for 5 or 6 minutes.
It's interesting that he said last night that a lot of other teams in the SEC are playing 7 and 8 guys. And I think it's because they realize they better be playing their better guys in this league, or they're not going to. Like, for example, he's already putting out there this idea that 7 and 11 with 6 quad 1 wins in the SEC should put a team in the tournament. And Mike was telling me a minute ago that Porter Moser said all 16 SEC teams should make the NCAA tournament. Now, we know that's not going to happen until maybe someday they have a 256-team tournament and just play one more weekend and eliminate, that. You know what I mean? Like maybe do away with the conference tournaments. It's probably never going to happen. But they're all talking up. Calipari said this might be the best conference ever in this SEC this year. Now, I guess we'll see how it plays out.
There's not going to be 16 SEC teams getting in. You'd 13 SEC football teams make a bowl game. 13 in the NCAA tournament. I think 7 and 11 will get you in. It just depends on where the wins are. What was it? Every road game except for South Carolina, and maybe Carolina gets there at some point, will be a quad 1 win. So, yeah, the depth is amazing.
LSU quad 1 this year? Do we play at LSU? Are they good? You think they would be?
I'm not sure.
I'm just LSU being a quad 1 basketball team. Yeah,
feels, but only on the road. If you're playing them at home, it wouldn't be quad because it's weighted differently home or road. And actually, you're at LSU in 2 weeks, the 14th.
But Calipari's already saying, that if you have 6 quad one wins out of your 7 SEC wins, that's probably better than a 24-win team that doesn't have any. In some other conference.
Well, that's kind of the case what we're talking about with Indiana football this year. That's kind of the same thing. How many quad one wins did and I don't have any problem with Indiana making the playoff or with SMU making the playoff, but how many teams did they really beat? Just because you beat 1 or 2 teams, where teams in the SEC, you got to beat 4, 5, 6 teams that are pretty solid.
Yeah, that's it. And it's going to be, hang on for a wild ride, and some team that you could have a really good team sitting there at 4-12 or something if they get injuries or whatever. So Arkansas hopes it's not one of those teams.
Grant, what are you doing later today? Do you make it to midnight?
Probably not. It's funny. I didn't go to the bowl game, Phil, because we had 16 family members gathering that day. That was the day that we had to do it with everybody traveling on the 27th, so I wasn't going to miss that. But had another one with 13. There's still some of them here, and we really enjoyed this family time. But I did watch the game on television, enjoyed it, and just looking forward to hope everybody has a prosperous 2025. What's you guys' New Year's resolutions real quickly? Have you already talked about that?
Haven't done it yet. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I would like to do, because I still don't exactly. It's still Hanukkah, Grant. I don't even know what I want for Hanukkah still. What am I going to decide when I'm going to change in my life over the next 365 days? I've always said my New Year's resolution is to not have one, so I might stick to that.
Yeah, my wife never makes them because she knows if she does, I'll point out on January the 2nd, hey, you said you were going to do this, So, but mine is to play every ball down and putt every putt out. That's my resolution.
Nice.
Why am I not surprised, Matt, that his resolution would have to do with golf?
No gimmies.
Well,
right, guys.
see you at the women's game against Tennessee on Thursday. Looking forward to having you on, as always.
Or LSU. Isn't it LSU? I think it's LSU.
Did I say Tennessee? That's right. Well, the men open up against Tennessee Saturday. It'd be good if I know
That's right.
Prepare for on Thursday.
Okay, guys, see you.
Thanks, Grant. Yeah, B wants me to give up sarcasm. He's been listening since day one in this show. He knows that that's actually an involuntary reaction to anything that's said to me. Stay with us. We'll come right back after the break with more halftime.
You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you. You ain't heard nothing.
This is Halftime. You can now download our new app in the iTunes or Google Play Store. Listen anytime and anywhere on your favorite mobile device. Just search Hit That Line now.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.